I don't have all the research, but I'll tell you my feelings so far from what I've gained. I think that the whole process of disease, degeneration, and death is related to oxidative stress, a special type. Now, it may not be the same spike protein that is generated from the vaccine or from the COVID. The COVID Delta was a variant that was similar to the vaccines. We found it very, very close, right? And we had the most deaths with the Delta and the most pathologies during that time. And when we created the algorithm for the Delta, we realized it's the same as the ones who took vaccines, right? Quite the same. So we used the same one that we were treating the Delta with to test you and found that you had spike protein. And your body was not dealing with it. But I think we are working on it right now, right? So we can get rid of it gradually. Now, spike protein, the thoughts I have on it, and this will take a little bit more time, maybe a few years before we can get a handle on it, because this 10-year project is to end by 2030. What we need from you is not to help me, but to start thinking in a different way so that you can join in the process. You know, we can't sit back and have everybody say, well, you know, we're all going to die. If we want to achieve something collectively, we have to start thinking like that. Whether we get there or not, we have to start thinking like that. So what I'm asking you, why we have these and why I'm teaching people, is to get everybody on board with this. That is, we're living in a different time. We're living in the 21st century. The time has come for us to look at disease, degeneration, and death face on, and what can we do about it. The discovery of the dark energy is what is going to help us. What I presented with all the techniques that we have of dark energies is to help you to get your system working in such a way that it will also give you the knowing that it is possible, right? It's just you walk away from here and say, well, you know, I'm so many years old, what can I gain from all this? No. We presented something to you to get you to start shifting your way of thinking. And when the collective makes that decision, then all of us are going to benefit from it. Because if John alone or you alone get there, or just thinking like that, then we have a bigger struggle. It's when the masses start to think like that, then we make a big shift in consciousness in the country. And we're all interested in Trinidad and Tobago. Whatever has to spill over, we'll also send good energies abroad. But I am also certain that other people are working everywhere. We're not unique that only this is all that there is to it. There's a whole movement like that. And we're all part and parcel of that movement. And what I want from people is only to ask that, listen, I've presented all of this to you, and I want to get you to start thinking differently. Not to go back and fall back in the old, well, we all have to die, we notice everybody dying. No. 100 years ago, if somebody had come up and said, Harry, because when the first phones came out, it was smaller than this, right? That size. Nokias and so on. Well, I never bought any of those because I was kind of late in getting into phones. And if a man came and said to us 60 or 70 years ago, I'm telling all you, well, they're going to have a small matchbox and they could talk to people anywhere. You know what we would think? He mad. If a man had turned up and say, look, you see that moon up there? Somebody go walk on the moon one day. We would think he crazy too. Because we would think, wait, how are you going to get up there? Where are you going to put the ladder to climb? They have no spacecraft, they have nothing to take you to the moon. So we think it's impossible. But at the same time, all of that has happened. What I'm bringing to the fore, and what I'm working with and helping people as well, is that we can change all of this. It's possible. So it's not about coming to the seminar today and just saying, okay, it sounded good and so on. Get involved. Start working on yourself, because I cannot do it for you. The more we start thinking like that, the collective energies are going to flow more and more. You will be surprised in a few years if we all get to start thinking like that, what will happen. There's going to be a change. And the change that we are going to see is in Trinidad. Because we may not be seeing outside because it's happening out there too. So what I'm asking you all, okay, we came and we presented this. And it was in my heart to allow it to flow. It is a whole year been doing the work, and now I said, okay, whoever comes here is a small group. It was similar to the 6th of January 2020. I had a similar group here, and we are talking about the beginning of that in the 6th of January 2020. This is now more than 5 years, going into 6 years. And we're at a better place, and I've presented more information. We're talking a lot more about the dark energy. But it is linked, the lack of dark energy is linked to what I call spike protein. There may be different types of spike proteins, right? And if you go back and study spike protein, go and read about it, you realize that maybe different varieties, each different disease may have. Like for instance, for me, heart attacks are not caused by coronary artery disease at all. Just like I said, cancer doesn't come from your body cells, it comes from the God cells in the lymph, in between the cells. Remember, if you understand the structure of the body, let's take any tissue. You have cells, let's say cells of the breast, cells of the colon, right? Cells of the pancreas. In between the cells, there's something called tissue fluid, which is the lymph, right? Lymph. In that lymph is loaded with these God cells that are nanoparticle size. They're there. We know they're there. And those are the cells which will change. And based on the information coming from your inner self or your informational field, it will cause these cells to morph. Because if you're giving it bad energies, what's going to happen? They're not going to be happy anymore. They will morph into something that is dangerous to life. And that's how a cancer cell is formed. In the same way, all these diseases, it comes from a higher level, the way we think. Then it downloads into the gut flora. They are friendly bacteria, they're good, they're working for you. I always say, if you all feed the gut flora, they will feed you. How many know that? They make vitamins, they make short chain fatty acids, they make proteins, they make vitamins, they make minerals, all kinds of stuff. So if you feed them, they will feed you. That's what they're there for. But we ignore them, we give them a bad environment, we eat the wrong foods, and wrong stuff, and then all of them get sour and they become lazy, they start to morph into bad things, and then disease comes about. Heart attacks, for me, from all the testing, is that you create a special type of bug from the consciousness level, and it changes the healthy and friendly bacteria into a different type of bacteria, which is toxic. It gives off toxins, it gets into your bloodstream, and there at the tissue level, it produces what I'm calling now spike protein. I became aware of that because I'm looking at the disease, degeneration, death. And it will create a specific type of spike protein which will hit your heart and cause damage to the heart muscle. It has nothing to do with coronary artery disease. I'll tell you why. Over the years, for many years, I see people coming and they come with an angiogram. When you check, there are 4 arteries in the heart, right? 4. The right coronary artery, the left, and the left divides into 2. So you have 4 branches to deal with. You look at the amount of blockages you have in these blood vessels. When you add them up and divide by 4, you're talking people with 70 and 80% blockages. How on earth they could walk up the stairs and they come in on the normal? How that could happen? Then you realize that all of these people have new blood vessels formed in the arteries. So while they're getting clogged up with the inflammation, and you know what's the main cause for inflammation in your coronary arteries and plaques? You know what's the main cause? Insulin levels. If you walk around here and you start, well, you shouldn't do that, but people start looking at how much belly fat you have. The more belly fat you have is the more insulin resistance you have. And if you don't develop diabetes, you will still develop the complication of diabetes and die from that complication, even though you don't have diabetes. Because once you have belly fat, you would also have fatty degeneration in the liver. You know what's the number 1 cause for fatty degeneration in the liver? A long time ago, it used to be alcohol. Today is not alcohol. Today is high fructose corn syrup. And that is the cheapest sweetener that they put into everything. And we all drinking juice and we eating this and ice cream and cakes and all these things. And we're not realizing that all this high fructose corn syrup is actually deadly to liver cells. So, we need to get a bit more serious about our health and our well-being. And beyond that, what we need as well is to start thinking of how to transform this body. And I've given you the platform of what we consider to be dark energies. And dark energies is a whole transformation. I don't know yet all the details of it. We'll find out more by 2030. By then, we should know a lot more, because I'm continuing to understand it. But I am now coming to the point where I don't have all the evidence yet, but we are actually generating different types of spike protein that will create different types of diseases. But today, we can still deal with that in the practice. Like with him, that will clear up in a month or 2 months, to start clearing up, and then the healing for the body starts. So we're on the right track. So this get-together, I'm happy that you all came. It's given me the opportunity to let out the stuff that we want to share, and the sharing is about you taking this information and start putting it into practice. Because it makes no sense just listening and it's sound good, it's okay. Go and start working on yourself, and let's see the transformation that will occur. And collectively, I think we can make a difference. If just all of us here were to have a shift in consciousness, let's assume we get to a place where we are generating, instead of 2 out of 10, we are generating like 8 or 9 out of 10. I'll tell you an interesting story. I saw a patient with end-stage cancer, and somebody brought her to see me, and this woman was so sick, and below 2 out of 10 in her health. And we did the same thing. She came back and she was between 7 and 8. This may be temporary. But she said to me, she said, "Doctor, I'm happy I came. I was on morphine injections every day, twice a day for pain. And since I came here and I've taken the remedies, I have no more pains." That's the first thing. And she's happy because she has no pains. And she was on morphine. They put her, that's end-stage situation, And she has a smile on her face. I was almost in tears when I looked at her and she walked in the office. I said, "Wait, you climb up the stairs, because my office, if you can't climb stairs, you can't see me, right?" You hear that, Diane?
I'm living so what's the figure? 180, you got it. So,
My mother is very worried. She's
will you
8.
be here still? I'll be here this day.
All right. So my mother is 89 plus. So she starts to get worried. She said, "Boy, I don't know if I'll be able to walk up." Well, you have to see one of the doctors downstairs. But if she's determined, she will walk up. So these spike proteins, we're going to continue investigating them, because I have a feeling that spike protein is like a virus, A virus with these spikes. Each one is different. So I have a feeling that we are creating these spike, they're protein molecules too, and they create a specific disease. So we might very well be looking at, in fact, I can tell you this. We can actually, based on your genetics and your lifestyle, we can predict if you're going to die with cardiovascular disease, but we don't like to go there because it's kind of depressing. Or whether it's going to be cancer, or whether it's going to be infection, because there are just about 9 or 10 different causes of death, of which suicide is one of them, accidents is another one. But people carry those patterns, and they're attracted, they're walking towards the end, and they're not realizing it. So when we try to treat people, we're looking quietly at that, but I got in a habit of not talking about that, because if you tell somebody, the script is there already, you're just walking straight into it. So that could depress people. So I no longer talk about that, but we can look at that, but don't ask me about it when you come, because we have quit that. What we're doing is trying to get you to a place where you could become healthy, where you can reverse the degenerative process and get rid of death as well.
So Harry, spike proteins were always there, or
I believe they have always been there. We became aware of it during the COVID and the COVID vaccines.
Right.
What I'm saying is that it's quite possible that the spike proteins may be different types. One that will cause a heart attack in the tissues, or maybe one will trigger a cancer, Another one will trigger some other disease.
It just made us aware of
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, but that's what we learned from that. We did a lot of research in that time.
Spike protein. All disease could be spike protein.
At the end stage, the final end stage, like you get a massive heart attack and you drop dead. But it doesn't have to be massive. It could be small and you have no reserve energy, as I said earlier today. And that's the end of it. So, how are we going with time? So it's 4 o'clock. So, are you all ready to go home?
What about intermittent fasting? Long fast, anything about that?
The what?
Energy, intermittent fasting?
Yeah. Okay, somebody mentioned fasting. Fasting, in all the research I did with fasting on myself and also with people that we're testing, if you go 12 hours of fasting, you don't generate any dark energies. You start to generate in the next 5 hours. And in up to 17 hours, you have, like, after that it tends to drop off. So you could continue fasting for 24 hours and go for 3-4 days. There's something called autophagy that kicks in as well. And autophagy is literally funded by dark energies. So during that time when you're fasting, there's nothing in the system. And in that extra 5 hours, what is happening, you're generating enough dark energies that would cause, we're calling it autophagy, which is self-eating. What it means is that the true pathology or the true situation that is happening is bad cells get converted back to good cells. In the scientific world, they will say in autophagy, you have a bad cell, they will come and chop off a piece and put in a next piece and heal the cell. I think what is happening is that with autophagy, you're getting actually the situation where dark energies, it changes the whole structure without having to add anything, because dark energies generate matter, you know. Dark energies generate matter as well, which is an aspect of light, because if a woman is pregnant, right, and she is vomiting for almost 6 months, there's not much nutrients going to the baby. You know what, the dark energy in the mother's womb will generate matter to get that baby to continue to grow inside it. That's the power of dark energy. It creates matter as well. So during fasting, that's a very powerful method. I mean, I think I do intermittent fasting almost every day, except some days, because I would come to work, just drink water, and the first meal is like 17 hours later. And I still full of energy. I haven't had any major meal for the day. Yeah. And I still feel energized. Maybe talking too much with vocal cords, and I'm sure they can't hear me at the back at this stage. But the point is that we don't need to eat that much food. You know, if you start producing dark energies, I guarantee all of you would need less food to eat, because dark energy will create matter. It creates matter. Let's go back to the description of God. When we said, let's talk about God, right? Dark energies, it creates this middle zone called the quantum field, which is the potential and the first stage going towards matter. And then it creates matter. Everybody got that? So essentially, dark energy is creating matter, if you could use that term. But they're all the same. We said earlier on that the three components of the divine is not, each of them is not less than or greater than the other two. So I think the time has come for the knowledge of the dark energies to get into our lives. The time has come when we should start engaging and developing more and more dark energy. And I think in a few years from now, all of us would be at a different level of awareness, consciousness, and maybe the body itself would be changing. Because it's not about a fighting anymore. Because what the immune system and what we call light is powerful, you know, but it's not adequate. As I said early on, and I'm repeating it, you will still degenerate and die. That factor is still there. And people might say, okay, the person lived 100 years, but at the end of it, they die. I will share with you what I have come to understand through meditation of many years, what happens after death. As I said, you may or may not agree with me, but that's okay. But as I said, if you can start to meditate, you will come to the same conclusion. So death is a permanent unconscious state. I'll repeat it again. Death is a permanent unconscious state. So if Harry Ramnarine right now were to drop dead here, Harry Ramnarine is finished. The divine that is me goes back to itself. I'm no longer me. Harry Ramnarine is finished, except all of you who work with computers or cell phones that has computerized ability, you could store data and the data will remain there for ages. Okay? So all of us, all of you here, if you were to die right now, everybody that you know have data on you, and you will continue to live in that realm. So people will dream you, people will smell you, people will see you from time to time. You still exist in them, real, but you are finished completely. But people don't want to hear that. They think that they're going to go to heaven or maybe to reincarnate. I'm telling you, death is a permanent unconscious state. So what we need to understand is that if we come to that knowledge, if you come to that knowledge, then you're going to try to do something to change your life with what the direction we are trying to explain to people. But if you know you're going to die and you're going to go to heaven or you're going to come back again, where's the point going any further? Is there any point? None. So that's where they left us. What we are saying, we come to a different reality, and I'm convinced 100% that when people die, it's a permanent unconscious state. So I'm going to ask you the question, who is going to go to heaven or who is going to reincarnate? It doesn't happen at all. It doesn't happen. Because if you're only temporarily unconscious on this floor right now, you cannot go anywhere, you cannot do anything until you come back to consciousness. But people like to believe that, and they have accepted that belief system, that when we die, there's something called a soul. That's a make-up story. If you want to know what the soul is, if you have to put it in the context of what I'm talking to you about, it is your informational field. That goes to. The only thing that remains from us, as I said, is memory stored in all the people that we know. Like today, I still have a knowledge of my father. I know what he looks like. And I would dream him from time to time. Not often, but because I have him stored in my computer, my biological computer. And all of you have people stored in your biological computer, which is your brain.
The computer will just go and find him. Why a computer will just go and find him while he's sleeping for you to dream of it?
No, it's you bringing it. It's not the computer doing it. It's you dreaming it.
Correct. So you didn't consciously choose to dream it. Before you go to sleep, you said,
Yeah.
dream about it.
Well, because that is still active in you. He's still living in you, in your awareness and your consciousness. So it will come up at random times. That's what I'm saying. But the day when those who have memory of you, all the people on this planet, they pass on, then you're finished. So I'm giving you the explanation why people dream people, why they get visitations of people. What's that?
We have to have some more discussions on that.
Well, you see, you're coming from a point of belief systems.
No. You have to explain it deeper. That is your interpretation. You have to explain that deeper.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm going to explain to you. I don't have all the truth. I have ideas which I've come to through meditation. And you will come to the same, but nobody will know all of it at all times. Right? You can learn to make roti, but there will be somebody making better dal puri than you are. And that is life. We're all evolving all the time. So I have a lot more to learn.
She did make a point about you don't determine for yourself what to dream. Made a point. That's something we could discuss further.
No, but the reason it comes up is because you have it in your mind, stored in your data. When you go into the dream world, you know what you enter? You are in a delta brainwave frequency. The delta brainwave frequency expands to a whole lot of stuff within your system, right? Because in the delta brainwave frequency, you are in that stillness. Okay, you are alive, you're in that stillness. And whatever is stored in your memory, it can come up, things will pop up. I don't know all the answers, but I'm giving you an idea of what I see from a scientific point of view as well.
There's a movie called Insidious.
Right.
So it goes to different levels of
Yep.
brain and thinking and dimensions.
Well, people talk about parallel universe and all of that, but people only talking about situation where they are seeing it, they themselves are seeing it, but I don't see a parallel universe. What I see in the quantum field, you exist everywhere in the quantum field. Scientifically, all of us are here now. 8 hours ago, you were not here scientifically. But from a spiritual point of view, from a quantum level point of view, you exist everywhere. And that's how I see the science and the spirituality merge together. Again, I don't claim to have all the answers. I will come back in 5 years from now and give you what more that I've gained. So, but that's where we are at. But I have come to understand and know that death is a permanent unconscious state. That I don't have to deal with that anymore. I mean, to try to.
Only problem, not a problem, only situation we arise with. Like I have some friends and they always query on that. What happens after death? Different religions tell you different things. And they say, well, God, the only way to find out. And you have to find out right away. But nobody ever come back and tell me what happened.
There probably is nothing there to even come back and talk. All right, we're going to end by some sound healing again.
Question.
Yes,
Does when someone is actively using the life code card,
a life.
the life code card,
Yeah,
does that benefit their life expectancy or dark energy in any way?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the more aligned they are?
yeah.
I would think they'd have more vigor for I want to live, I want to give, I want to benefit others.
Well, the thing is that, remember, all that we have done so far was based on basically light. And most of what we are doing is based on, even the treatments we are doing is based on light. This is a whole shift into another realm,
Yeah.
which has been going on for 5 years. And it's what I've decided now is I've gained a certain amount and I decide to share. Because I have not done any classes for 1 year, which is unusual. But for the last 5 years, I've been doing all the research, I've been doing my meditation, and one helps the other, right? Back and forth, because we're dealing with science and spirituality. And what I've done is also look at the quantum level. I consider myself only a student of quantum physics and quantum theory. I don't know everything, because every single day we all lifting our lives by small, minute bits. And the more experiences we have in life, the better for us. The more challenges we have, better for us. But you see, when we get challenges in life, we tend to fall, and then we start to blame everybody. But yes, a totally different way. So we have to start looking at things a bit differently. Any more questions? Questions? Ask me questions I can answer. Nothing?
I read somewhere that if you eat honey, it has some toxicity that comes out of it. You change the kind of, I don't know what you have on that.
Okay, what she's asking is that if you heat up honey, then you could change various things in it and it can become toxic, you said. Well, I have heated up honey, brought it almost to a boil, tested it. It's no longer behaving like honey because a lot of things have changed, but it is not toxic. I never found it to be toxic. So, but it's not honey anymore. You move it from structure and enzymes and all kinds. No, I didn't find it was harmful. No, I don't boil honey. No, they're asking if you. People claim that if you take honey and put it in, like making tea, that is boiling, that is toxic. I didn't find anything like that. But I also heated up honey to a point where it starts to bubble up. It lost a lot of water, but all the enzymes and a lot of good things in there destroys all of that. So, I mean, I have never found any toxic effects in people when you take honey and literally put it into hot water as a tea. And we test the tea. There's no major issue. You would lose some of the enzymes, certainly. And what makes honey a healing thing is just not the sugar there, it's the whole structure of the molecules of what the bees put into it energetically, including their saliva and whatever. It's a totally different product. And so when you heat it up to a high temperature, things break down. You know? If you take oil, any seed oil, and you bring it to a high temperature, it literally changes it.
So then, how do you make coconut oil? They shouldn't use heat, they should cold press.
Well, the thing is that a lot of people made it with heat. That is, they ferment and they eventually cook it to get rid of the water. What you're left with is a product that is still okay. There's no major toxicity to it because the coconut oil can take a lot of temperature, a high temperature. Obviously, when you get to a point of smoke point or it's literally breaking down, I don't think when we cook that we get it to that. We may get some amount changing in a pot when you have your high temperature. But most of the time people cooking, they put the oil in and they put their different spices and everything goes in, which brings the temperature right back down again. So it saves the whole process from breaking down. But if you take coconut oil and really go up to a high temperature, then it could become toxic. But in the level at which we cook, generally, what I have done testings on, we are not in the toxic level. Unless the oil is burned and you burn up the pot and everything, everything changes. You get charred stuff. All right, so let's end. Right. People ask me all of that. I tested Nariel. It's actually, they've used all kinds of chemicals to clean up the oil, right? And as far as I know, in my testing, it has a toxicity of about 4 to 5. So people will still get away with that because it just depends on how much oil you're going to use. People tend to use it for frying a lot, but they can take a lot of temperature, but I think the oil itself is processed at that stage. Because what they do, they may use chemicals in the process to get it cleaned out.
The smell, they were trying to get rid of the scent.
Yeah.
People reject the smell.
Yeah. Well, you see, you remember long ago, everybody used to get coconut oil in their head, their hair. And everybody walking around with that smell. So everybody get turned off from that smell.
That's why they actually do it for nothing.
Yeah. So it is not the best quality, but if you're going to use it, I guess people are not frying every day. And I would advise that they still use the coconut oil from Nariel. It does not have such a high level of toxicity, but I think using in the way we're using it, it should be okay. But if you want to get all the benefits from coconut oil, the cold press oil is the best. The cold press. Or if you use the fermentation method, where you ferment, you'll allow it to ferment and the oil comes up at the top and you skim off the oil. But you would always have some oil mixed with water that you can't get it out. So you have to heat it up to some extent. And if you heat it up, you'll evaporate the water and you'll end up with still a good quality coconut oil. But the cold press is really the ideal situation. And if you want to use coconut oil, then stop doing too much of this frying. Only if you have to do it occasionally, then you can use Nariel or you can use the cold press one.
Nariel or Simply Natural?
Simply natural.
They come from the same company.
Good thing we have her here, if we have all that information.
You just really bronze, keep up now with Nariel.
I would still stick with the Brunswick because I don't see what the other brands are, Bumblebee and...
Bumblebee, Fairhaven.
Maybe I don't even look for them. I just look for brands.
Maribel, they all come, they just can't let for them until they... Same thing.
But I got one from Portugal and I opened it up a few days ago.
They say Portugal has the highest quality sardine.
Yeah. But I said they have a museum of sardines there, So before the lockdown, I planned to go just to check out the sardines there. And then lockdown came. And up to today, we never got back our money.
Stick with your Brunswick.
Yes.
One question. People use noni juice to bring down their pressure.
Using what? Noni.
From the have plenty of noni trees growing wild nowadays.
Well, noni is a real superfood too. You see, the thing is, I have something here which we didn't talk about. Noni is a very powerful thing, right? You see, if you take a noni and allow it to ripen, and then stick it in a container, it will start to ferment. And when you ferment any food, it generates dark energies.
Yes, you're going to mention fermented foods.
Right? And fermented foods are all excellent. It doesn't matter whether it's kimchi, whether it is sauerkraut. The easiest one to ferment for all of you is cabbage. It knows how to ferment itself. All you need to do is get a cabbage, chop it when you make sure it's washed, and chop it up. Put it in a good size container. Wash your hands 3 times, because you're going to use your hands instead of gloves. So wash it 3 times with soap, and then put in a tablespoon. It depends on the size of the cabbage, right? And put in about a tablespoon of salt. Sprinkle it around, and then use your hands. Just hold on to this for a while, right? And then these hands you use, and all you stand up and do, and you squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until you get tired. By that time, all the water starts coming out. Everything is done with, hygiene and making sure that you don't have bacteria in the bowls or your hands. You take all of it, put it in a container, and press it down with all the water. Leave it there for about 4 or 5 days, and then you can put it in the fridge. That will last months. So cabbage knows how to ferment itself. You don't have to do much. Recently I did some beet, and I took the beet, washed it. I don't peel it. Use the skin, everything. Cut off the top and the bottom. Grate it, put it in a jar, like a glass bottle. Then add some water, let it extract, and leave it alone. I did put some salt in there as well. The salt is good to help to inhibit growth of bacteria, but it also enhances the fermenting process. And then after 5-6 days, you put it in the fridge. And that could stay there for a long time. It doesn't ferment, it ferments, but it does not go bad. And then you could pour it and drink that. It's like a small amount at a time. So you could ferment beet, you could take mixtures of cabbage, and you could add other root vegetables or whatever you have, like carrots and so on. You could grate it and
Ferment carrots also.
yeah, you ferment it with the cabbage.
You ferment carrots and beet together.
So it's possible.
Just make your mom that. Anything you want to mix, you just want to mix everything. You want an easy meal.
Easy meal. But all fermentation, even yogurt is fermented milk, you know that, right? So all of these things contain good, healthy bacteria, and it's good for your gut flora. So the probiotics, I was going to say that you create it yourself. And it doesn't take a long time to do these things. And when you get involved, the bacteria inside here is going to grow with your consciousness back and forth. Everybody making sourdough don't make the same bread, you know. Look, miss there. What I noticed, like for instance, 3 of these ladies went and did the sourdough making course in Canada. If I had known they were going, they kept it a secret, I would have gone with them too, so I would make my own sourdough. But they did that. What I noticed after a while is that you take a bread from Vidya, it's different from the one from Zelima, it's different from the one from Janice. Why? Not that there's any one bad, all of them are good sourdough bread. But the individual creating the starter and growing the bacteria, they all influence them. And that's how life is, and that's what it is. And so all of that. So they're all good bread, quality bread, but there's slight differences. And you could taste that difference if you're sharp enough. So all the fermented products, there's so many fermented things you could ferment. And but you start off with simple ones that is easy to do, right?
So just as beer is a fermented product.
Well, ask Diane what they do after they ferment.
They drink coffee a day.
Yes, it's good for you.
Yeah, so it's fermented. But I don't know, there's so many.
Some people say get gout acid and all that.
What?
Get gout with acid.
No. That's if you just drinking beer a whole day.
But now for the non-alcoholics like me, they have a 0. And that's a meditating bear. You have 0 state of mind. Heineken makes 1 0. I have all the grandchildren drinking beers now. They have no alcohol at all. Well, not.
Alcohol is also good for your body.
Well, I don't ask me. Just your preference.
No, you just teach us that a little alcohol is very good.
Yes, but it's not to have 0 beer is also okay too.
No alcohol.
I don't know what he's fighting about. Yeah. So you ask about noni. So noni, when it's fermented, it has a good effect on the entire body too. But I have not, with this work I'm doing here, the ones that I gave you,
Xeronine, that's some enzyme like that. It says very cancer fighter.
yeah,
But those are read up on it.
right. Well, the thing is, any plant that can, once you get it to a place where it can work on all the organ system, it could fight any disease. That's what we are presenting here, all the 0 spin, dark energies, and that's where they are. So if you take noni and you ferment it, right now I have a little experiment where I took 1, and now it's leaking out slowly into the beaker, and then we'll test it and see where it's at. Because that's a fermentation process. In fact, I have some noni that I've added nothing to it. It's about 30 years old. It's all made into alcohol. Just on sticking around for 30 years.
You could still drink that. I was scared. I had some for about 5 years. It get black like.
Yeah, it gets very dark.
And I was scared to drink it.
But the smell is bad, but the taste is okay.
Yeah, but I was scared to say what is this?
So this plant here, everybody knows this in Trinidad, right? It's called the wonder of the world, right? I can't remember the botanical name. But this is the only plant that I know, but I think somebody told me there's another one where a tree could grow from the leaf. So this is what you're seeing there. These are small trees growing from the leaves, right? You see, he's not Trinidadian, that's why he's saying, wow. Not Trinidad. Yeah. It shows off at this idea. So this one here, this is an interesting plant, right? This is highly anti-inflammatory. So any disease, and any disease that you have is all related to inflammation. But people would take this, warm it up a bit, and apply it to the skin somewhere where you have pain, and it will help to reduce inflammation. Yes, it is safe. I mean, if you're eating about 20 leaves, then that's maybe too much. Because I will always tell people, if somebody put a gun at your head and say, okay, you have to eat 20 plates of food, otherwise I'm going to kill you. But you would eat the food and you would die. 20 plates. They'll poison you. Too much for the body to handle. So this is an excellent plant, and it grows very easily everywhere in Trinidad. And you should all have a tree like this, a plant like this. Wonder of the world. I like to, when they get a little bit older and they've taken all the nutrients from the seed, I like to pluck it and eat the trees. So this is an excellent herb. This is the only herb that I found straight off, the very first one that generates dark energy without doing anything to it. It generates dark energies without doing anything to it. So the leaf itself. So it's something that you should plant and keep at home. And it is easy to chew it up and eat it. It's safe. Even one at a time. Don't need too much. So this is an excellent plant. And I've heard so many good stories about this. In fact, recently I fell down and I was trying to get some, those jamun, the very purple fruits. So I picked some from the branch, and then I was standing on something and reached out in the other, got overbalanced, fell and hit my shin bone onto a rock. Immediately it got swollen up, and it was very painful. But we used this, and this remove a lot of the inflammation within about 2 or 3 days. And it all got better. So this is highly inflammatory, anti-inflammatory.
Just making sure we're paying attention.
Yes. So that's this. And this without doing anything to it, it generates dark energies. So that's what I pointed I brought this. Right. Yes. Yes, I come here. I heard you. Yes.
Really for the spinning, do you have to do all of that? Or is it just about the spin? Can you just like turn? Or do you have to do the hand? Is there a significant?
But the hand goes with it.
Has to go.
It's an antenna.
Okay.
You see, years ago, I developed something called rune yoga. Not rude yoga, John. Rune yoga. So rune yoga is all the postures. So one day we'll teach this class out if you want. So if you stand like this, your body is the greatest antenna. Your body is an antenna to the quantum field, right? So if you stand like this and you do this, you're bringing energies on top of your head, through your hands, it comes down to the heart center and straight into the earth. So you're filled with energies. If you do this instead, then what you're doing is actually connecting to a type of energy which will actually help you to overcome difficulties in life. So that's that. And if you practice this long enough, then you can help others to develop.
It's right hand up.
Yeah, right hand up, left hand down.
Whirling dervish is always right hand up.
Say that again.
Whirling dervish is right hand up.
Yeah, I use the same with the whirling dervishes. Question? Oh. So, just practicing. So we created this because the body is an antenna and different position carries different things. Like this is for strength, and you just drop yourself and so the energies are moving into your body and flowing back into the earth so it comes into the body through the feet and goes up and down into the earth. So there's a flow. So all these the rune is the ancient Norse alphabet system. So you can buy a book of rune and read about it. But one day we'll probably teach that class so that people can get a lot more energies into the system. In 2019, towards the end of 2019, in November, I asked, what is the rune for the next year? The year that the pandemic started. You know what the rune came out to be? This one, which has an effect on the lungs. And it was the pandemic about the lungs. And that was done in November. So that relates to the lung diaphragm area. So they're very powerful. So when I tested myself for a rune for today, I got that. So I was walking with it in my pocket.
And how would that be on a physical posture? It's like,
Sowelo relates to the energies of the sun, right? So there's a simple prayer that says, you who are the source of all power and whose rays illuminate the whole world, illuminate my heart that it too can do thy work. So when I tested myself very early this morning, I did it last night, which rune I need for today. I just felt maybe I need a rune. I don't go to them all the time. And this is what I got. And I had this already made a long time ago. So it's called Sowelo. So the posture is like this. So you go down, where the girl who was taking photos and shoes. So you go down like this, and you stand like this. So this is you, and that's the Sowelo. So you put your hands like this, and you sit there. So you can see the position of your body as the same as that. That's your legs, your feet, and the upper part of the body. So, but the runes are fascinating. Maybe you should get to learn the runes and what they mean. But we had developed a course called Rune Yoga and taught people at the whole center. So if you're interested, maybe one day we probably have a one evening course with that. And you will get all the drawings. I think I still have them. So you can do the exercises. All right, we finished with some gongs, can we? We have any more questions? Yeah.
It's very different from the way traditional.
Yeah. Well, okay, the question you have, you know, different people make different fermented milk products, right? And you have kefir as well, or kefir. People have all kinds of pronunciation. Kefir. And what they're doing is they're fermenting milk, and the different bacteria that is in there, the ones are different in each one, right? So they all do the same at the end of the day, but addressing different flora. So some people like kefir because it comes from different areas, and then it's spread all over the world.
Just a thought on washing.
One of the things I noticed, like when I made a trip to India, that's the only one I did.
If you wipe it out,
we were there for about 2
you're
weeks.
still smelling of feces.
All the foods we were eating were really fermented food.
I'm going to
We had
talk
dosas
about this
every day, idlis and whatever.
because
I
this
can't
is sound.
remember all the names. And all the foods were fermented. And guess what I noticed while we were there? When you go to the washroom, you go to the toilet, you didn't have, you try using toilet paper and so on. Nothing you had to wipe.
Actually a weighted
The stools,
C.
it was perfect because all the foods were fermented foods. Almost everything we ate was fermented. You would have had that experience because she goes to India
Nice. It's a nice
quite
tool
often.
to have. We don't
But
sell it.
that's the one thing I noticed, there was nothing in the toilet
I have
paper.
no connection.
But you know what I wonder about toilet paper? I'm sure all of you use toilet paper and we all use toilet paper, right? Now, suppose I were to put to you, suppose you got some feces on your leg, right?
This
Splattered from somewhere.
Weighted C.
Would you wash it to get rid of it, or would you take a piece of dried toilet paper and wipe it off and
She
go about your
refused to come up
business?
in front by me, right? That will see that.
But we're talking about when you're in your home.
I have a zero Heineken in the fridge for Shabbos.
No, that's not my point.
Right, so
My point is
this a
when
good
you go to the
tool when you
toilet
can afford it. I
and
don't
you
think
use
it's
toilet
that
paper to
expensive.
wipe.
You go to Biosonic.
My concern here is whether we should be washing rather than using toilet paper.
Biosonics carry a wide
Yeah, I know.
range. They were the original guys who made shooting
Well, in
forks
Bhutan,
the
in one of the hotels, I had one of the most sophisticated toilet. You put the seat down, this thing came all the way in the right position for everybody, apparently, and it did a thorough washing.
But
Amazing, and it has all these buttons to press, Very sophisticated. You remember this?
this is such a nice tool.
Amazing.
You can apply it anywhere.
But people would have
I
bidets
had-
and things and so on, but you
sometimes
don't
you
have
get
them as.
overactive
That has
using
gone.
a toothbrush and it bruised up the gum. And
Yeah.
within 10 hours, 12 hours, I just keep applying it in the same area. All the pain went away.
But those toilets must be cost a fortune, eh? All that
So why we
electronic
can't
gas.
use it to keep our teeth healthy?
Yeah.
You could use it anywhere you have a pain, you could apply it.
That's a thought on washing as opposed to toilet
Well,
paper. That's why I said if you got the feces here, if you wipe it out several
give you a
times,
bit of warning.
you're still smelling of
This is
feces.
way more costly than this. This is called
All right.
the boot or the shoe.
I'm going to
So it doesn't have this.
talk about
but
this
you can work it with
quickly
that. But I
because
thought
this
it was
is
so
sound.
fancy, and when I
And
got the price,
you can feel it.
I realized this is like 3
It
times
feels good,
more.
right?
But if you really want a fancy looking one, I just choose a pink quartz.
So this is actually a weighted C128. Note C,
It's a nice tool to have.
128 cycles per second. So
It
it
gives
really
off a
feels
good
nice. It's
vibration.
a nice tool to have.
sound
We
is
don't
all
sell it. You
zero.
can order it from Biosonics.
sound.
I have no connection with this company.
So it has a lot of wonderful effects. All right, I know people want to leave.
Yeah, well, a
There's
lot of
some
people have them.
minutes on this, right?
You can feel that. And this is a weighted C128. And Biosonics is, huh? She refused to come up in front by me, right? So that's what it feels like.
Because she announced she wants some beer to drink just now.
I have a zero Heineken in the fridge for her. A travesty. All right, so this is a good tool when you can afford it. I don't think it's that expensive. You go to Biosonics, there are many companies again. I have bought from all three, but Biosonics carry a wide range. They were the original guys who made tuning forks in the Western world, right? The Biosonics company. All the others have copied, and the same company is making for everybody else. So there are about 3 companies. So I have bought from all 3, but 128. This is such a nice tool. Eh? You could apply it anywhere. I had, sometimes you get overactive in using a toothbrush, and it bruised up the gum. And within 10 hours, 12 hours, I just keep applying it in the same area. All the pain went away. It was irritated, and I just did this. So why we can't use it to keep our teeth healthy, and the root and the periodont, we could also do that too. So you could treat it anywhere. Anywhere you have a pain, you could apply it.
Can it be any tube? Does it have to be C?
Well, this is what does that.
Oh, okay.
So it takes, now, let me give you a bit of warning. This is way more costly than this. This is called the boot or the shoe of the, so it doesn't have this, it comes with that, but you could work it with that. But I thought it was so fancy, and when I got the price, I realized this is like 3 times more than this. But if you really want a fancy looking one, I just choose a pink quartz, rose quartz. And you could slide it around up and down. But it's a nice tool to have. It gives off a good vibration, and sound is all zero spin, all sound, all zero spin. So it has a lot of wonderful effects. All right, I know people want to leave. There's a few minutes of this and we finish, right? Right. Hope you all enjoy that one. Gongs get into the mind, the body, the physical level, non-physical level, and they actually literally shut down yourself, you know. A lot of people could fall asleep with gongs, but there's so many frequencies coming into the body. Gets you into calm, relaxed sleep. Yep. So I want to thank you all for coming. Without you, so you gave me the opportunity to talk to you all. If you're not here, then I would not be talking. And I don't really, do anything to present or talk. I normally just come here with a few ideas and then allow it to happen. It's always spontaneous and whatever flows into ourselves. So that's the way.